Thanks so much for listening to Belen and I. And now I'm going to turn it over to Tada Vargas, who will discuss her journey in the field of genomics, as well as the importance of tribal colleges in teaching genomics with an Indigenous perspective, and the Tribal College Consortium on Genomics Training, which grew out of the short course. Okay, Tada, it's yours.
Ampeti washte, Tayan yahi biksto, Chante washte nape chiuzapi, Tada Vargas imatiapi, Wakba washte oyate hamataham, na meniluzaha wakba otuahe elwati. Hello, my name is Tada Vargas, and I am a member of the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. And today I'm going to be sharing with you my journey on pursuing a career in genomics. I'm a recent graduate of Oglala Lakota College. I double majored in natural science with an emphasis in conservation biology and Lakota studies with an emphasis in law. Oglala Lakota College is one of the largest tribal colleges with over 1,400 students. It is mainly located on the Pine Ridge Reservation in southwestern South Dakota. And I say mainly because it is composed of 10 college centers with 8 locations on the Pine Ridge Reservation, 1 location in Cheyenne River Reservation, and then my home center, which is in Rapid City, South Dakota. There are actually 32 accredited TCUs, or tribal colleges and universities, in the US, serving approximately 30,000 students from more than 250 federally recognized Indigenous tribes. Depending on which TCU you attend, they offer associate's to master's levels degrees in a variety of fields like art, education, business, nursing, social work, and various areas of STEM. It was nearly 5 years ago when I was approached by our biology instructor, who is now my good friend and mentor, Alessandra Higa. She had asked if I would consider contributing to a project she needed to finish. To be honest, I wasn't thrilled to work with Bison. I kind of just wanted to get my degree and move on with my life. But I figured, what the heck, and gave it a semester. At that moment, I had no idea how significant and beneficial that decision would be to my future. So here's my first poster in all its glory. I analyzed mitochondrial DNA in the tribe's bison herd. I was looking for maternally inherited cattle integration in the population. Although I wasn't super excited in studying bison genetics, I found out I was pretty good at it. So I kept an open mind and presented my findings at multiple conferences. And that's what opened my door to a journey in pursuing a career in genomics. It was at the Falcon Conference, or First American Land Grant Consortium in Albuquerque, New Mexico, that I had first met Christina Daulton, the presenter who had just spoke previously, and her colleague, Carla Easter, pictured here. I will always remember this conference because while I was used to answering questions about bison genetics and herd management, I distinctly remember a hand shooting up from what felt like a sea of people. And Christina and Carla point blank asking me, so what do you want to do with your future? Like, just like that, like right in front of everyone. And without missing a beat, I answered, I want to study hereditary diseases in Indigenous populations. That following summer, Carla and Christina helped me seek an opportunity to intern at NHGRI in Bethesda, Maryland with Dr. Larry Brody, pictured here. I spent the summer at NIH studying the impacts of vitamin B12 deficiency on gene expression in the brains of genetically engineered mice. We had 4 groups, 2 knockout and 2 wild type. And then we subjected each group to either a regular diet or vitamin B12 deficient diet. I then learned to use reverse transcriptase qualitative PCR to verify previously obtained RNA-seq data. At the end of the summer, my results did validate the RNA-seq data, and I was able to contribute to a project in that way. The next summer, which was 2 summers ago, I decided to stay a little closer to home and took an offer with Black Hills State, which is the university that Oglala Lakota College collaborates with for their genomic studies. This summer was spent analyzing biodiversity in unknown fungal species found in surf, the Sanford Underground Research Facility. Using direct PCR and Sanger sequencing, I identified 336 unknown fungal isolates with an identity parameter match of greater than 97%. I really enjoyed this project because I felt like I was solving a mystery using all of the genetic techniques that I had learned. However, deciding to accept the internship in the first place was less easy. The SURF project was conducted in the Black Hills, which historically and presently still has ceremonial and cultural significance to our people. In 1851, the US government established the first Fort Laramie Treaty with several tribes in the Great Plains region. The purpose of this treaty was to establish peace between early European settlers, the US government, and First Nations people. However, in 1876, General George Armstrong Custer discovered gold in our Black Hills, and through an act of Congress, the Black Hills was illegally taken from the Lakota people just a year later in 1877. So due to these injustices and all the historical trauma caused by these events, you can imagine how difficult it was for me to accept an internship here. However, after visiting SURF, formerly known as the Home Stake Mine, I felt like there was a lack of Indigenous presence and that my perspective and voice could help fill that void. So although it was a tough decision, I'm grateful I accepted the opportunity because while I was presenting this research, I had met Dr. Maurice Godfrey with UNMC. After a short conversation, he invited me to apply to their internship program in cancer research. Last summer, I spent many early mornings and very late nights at the University of Nebraska Medical Center, working in Dr. Chermakova's lab. The Chermakova Lab focuses on DNA repair in regard to colorectal cancer. My project was using site-directed mutagenesis in E. coli cells, transforming them into yeast cells to determine what is driving mutation rates. Most of the techniques I used were completely new to me, so that was really exciting. However, to be completely honest, this was probably one of the most frustrating internships I've ever done, but it was also the most rewarding, and I'll tell you why. At the end of the project, all of the sequencing results verified that all the plasmids had their corresponding mutation, and I felt like a complete rock star. And then came Tetrad Dissection. I will never forget my summer with Tetrad Dissection. I think I spent a solid 2 weeks trying to successfully dissect just one little tetrad, pictured here. Finally, one late Friday night, I just threw my hands in the air, emailed my mentor, and told her that maybe this just wasn't for me. I finally accepted that I will never be a tetrad dissector. Well, she emailed me back and told me to take some time and that we would go at it again on Monday. I think that was the longest weekend of my life. I was dreading walking into the lab, just knowing those tetrads were sitting there mocking me. Fortunately, my very patient mentor sat with me all day and I finally dissected a whole plate. After dissecting about 10 plates, I finally got the hang of it and was able to continue with the project. Currently, I'm finishing up my report on a multi-year study in Bison Genomics. Bison historically and currently play a significant role in the well-being of Indigenous communities. Being the national mascot, you may or may not know the historical traumas they endured through the centuries. So I'm very grateful for the skills I have learned to help restore the integrity of the tribe's herd and give back to the community in my own small but personal way. And this brings us up to date on my story. But where do we go from here? Indigenous communities have concerns revolving around a variety of topics such as food sovereignty, cultural preservation, and health disparities. There are so many problems we could help solve using genomics and genetics. Even better, there are so many tribal college students out there just like me, students who are specifically pursuing a higher education because they genuinely want to help their communities, just waiting for an opportunity to find them and ask, so what do you want to do with your future? But where do we begin? In 2016, after a short course workshop, an initiative was proposed, TCGT, the Tribal College Consortium on Genomics Training. As you may recall, it was less than 6 months after this consortium was created that I had met Christina Daulton and Carla Easter, and thus began my path towards a career in genomics. So why is TCGT so important? Since 1997, Indigenous students have been making progress in obtaining both bachelor's and master levels degrees. They have earned nearly twice as many degrees in 2017 than the previous 2 decades. However, despite this progress, a presence in genetics still remains extremely underrepresented. Very few American Indians and Alaska Natives have doctorates in genomics. Is it due to lack of interest? Or could it be a result that most TCUs have little to no access of academic or research opportunities in genomics? Or perhaps it could be a lack of trained Indigenous genomic professionals in their communities. The Tribal College Consortium is bringing tribal college faculty, students like me, and federal agencies together in coming up with a way to increase opportunities in genomics for Native American students while also remaining culturally appropriate. So how do we increase support for this movement, and who can we reach out to? Tribal college students are a great start. TCUs are an untapped resource. In all honesty, without this type of support, I'm not sure where I would be today. I want more students and more faculty to have these types of opportunities and this support. And it was the short course workshop in genomics that ignited this possibility. To conclude, here are the many organizations that I owe thanks to. By helping to create a pathway, I am well on my way in pursuing a career in genomics.